We have a tie. San Francisco and Detroit quickly another score.
San Diego's going up 24-7 against Cincinnati. Danny Fouts, a touchdown toss of 9 yards to John Jefferson. Phil Simms has passed 8 yards to Gary Shirk. Giants trail Tampa Bay 23-6. They missed the extra point on a bad snap.
Bartkowski going back, and he fires, and he finds an open receiver. Alfred Jenkins, a first down inside the 40-yard line, and Charles Romes makes the stop. So now the Falcons are doing to the Bills what the Bills did to the Falcons in the first half. Those under patterns, those comebackers that are working.
Take another look. Good drop by Bartkowski, right on the money. Simple down and out pattern by number 84, Alfred Jenkins rather.
16-yard pickup. First and 10 at the 37. Jackson 85 comes in the game as Jenkins goes out. Atlanta with the lead and moving now at the 37-yard line, out of the eye. Second back through. Lynn Kane stumbles his way, perhaps back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Lucius Sanford, number 57, and Hazlitt, 55. Two of the right side linebackers combined to make the stop.
Dick, offensively and to a degree defensively, the Buffalo Bills have not quite recovered from that blocked field goal.
That's true. Last couple of minutes of the first half and throughout most of this third quarter, they have been flat.
Bills have only had the ball twice. You look at the book on Steve Bartkowski.
Second and 9. We wind down to a minute to go in the quarter. Barreling up ahead is Andrews. Might have gotten to the 30 depending on where forward progress was. Hazlitt once again makes the stop. Atlanta has beaten the tough teams as you look at that Tampa Bay Giants score. They beat the 49ers when they were 3-0. They defeated the Lions when they were 4-0. And of course the victories over New England earlier on this year on the road and LA last week. Their losses were the teams they should have beaten. The New York Jets, the Miami Dolphins, and the Minnesota Vikings. So they seem to rise to the occasion against the tough club.
Okay, if you're the Buffalo Bills defensively now, this could be one of the key third down plays of the football game. The line of scrimmage, the 33-yard line, you obviously don't want to give them the first down. You've got to keep them out of the end zone the way the momentum is swung around. Atlanta's up by 3, 17-14. You certainly want to make them try the long field goal and try to keep them off the board at all.
There you see the score. Atlanta, or St. Louis and Dallas tied 7-7. Cardinals on a high after the victory over the Colts last week.
St. Louis had, what, 12 quarterback sacks in that game?
Tied an NFL record and totally befuddled Burt Jones. This is a timeout, by the way, called by the Falcons. They called one early in the first quarter.
Well, just like it's a key third down play defensively for the Buffalo Bills, offensively it's as important for the Atlanta Falcons. Baltimore, you mentioned Burt Jones, has just come back against Kansas City. It was 17-14 Chiefs at the intermission. Curtis Dickey, a 2-yard run, so the Colts are out in front now 21-17 as they seesaw back and forth. That's a big game for the Kansas City Chiefs in that AFC Western division because Oakland is up, and then at 4-4 you've got Kansas City, you've got Seattle, and you've got the Chargers.
Tight races throughout the league. In the NFC, races for the division titles and wild card up in the air, and certainly the case in the AFC. 3rd and 4 at the 32-yard line with 24 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Bartkowski is getting the rush up the middle, and it's dropped. Andrews had it. Isaiah Robertson was covering, but the coverage had nothing to do with it. Andrews just dropped the pass, and he would have had the first down. So it'll be 4th and 4. And James, the punter, will come in.
And it's not as if William Andrews is a stranger to pass catching. He had 1 for 7 yards in the first half. Coming in 27 catches, 217 yards, averaging about 8 yards every time he catches a pass thrown by Steve Bartkowski.
Now Mazzetti will come in. They're going to try the field goal. It'll be from 51 yards. 51-yard attempt for Tim Mazzetti, who's 0 for 1 this year from that range.
And has a groin pull.
It looks long enough, and it's good. Tim Mazzetti has kicked a 51-yard field goal, and it might be spotted at 50, but either one, Mazzetti, who's being mobbed by his teammates, has increased the lead to 20-14 for the Atlanta Falcons. And I'll tell you one thing, that groin pull certainly hasn't affected Tim Mazzetti this afternoon, as it made it over the bar.
Not exactly a line drive, but you had to wait to see just how much it would clear the bar. The good follow through. Watch the concentration there by Mazzetti. And he had a little bit of room to spare, even though it was a line shot. And watch the reaction of Tim Mazzetti as the Falcons now have gone up by 6 points, 20-14 against the Buffalo Bills, who enjoyed a commanding 14-0 lead. It looked as if it was going to be 17-0 or 21. Chuck Knox on 4th and less than a yard elected to try a field goal. The Falcons blocked it, and the rest is history. Touchdown toss to Junior Miller, the first touchdown that the Falcons have scored in the 3 meetings between these two teams, and it's been all Atlanta since then. The Bills have had the football only 2 times, and now they'll get it back for the 3rd time of the quarter.
Artie Owens, number 85, is back there with Terry Miller, number 40, who was a first-round draft choice in his 3rd year from Oklahoma State. And Mazzetti, who has kicked 2 field goals today, the 28-yarder to put the Falcons on the scoreboard in the waning moments of the first half before they scored again on a touchdown. And then, of course, the 50-yard field goal he just clicked on. So it's 20-14. Atlanta scored 10 points in the 2nd and the 3rd quarters. 15 seconds remaining in this 3rd quarter as he boots it, headed over to Artie Owens' side. And Owens, 2 yards in the end zone, can't hold it, and will run it out. Owens to the 10, and maybe to the 10. That's all. Clock stops, 6 seconds to go. Kenny Johnson makes the tackle. So this game has turned full circle from what we saw for most of the first half, when the Bills were doing everything right and the Falcons couldn't get unleashed and couldn't get things started. It's turned around.
You certainly would expect Chuck Knox to have a talk with the 5-year man from West Virginia, Artie Owens, after he bobbled the ball twice in the Buffalo end zone about 3 yards deep and ran it out, and gives Buffalo very poor field position as time is winding down here in the 3rd quarter. They start now from their own 10 instead of 1st and 10 from the 20.
6 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Cribbs running outside, and he's down, and that'll do it. That'll end things in the 3rd quarter, and that is the end of the 3rd quarter with the score: Atlanta 20, the Bills 14. We now pause for a word from your local station.
Monday on Flo, Crooked Farley's running for office, and Flo's about to run him out of the Yellow Rose.
Farley's never met a man whose money he didn't like.
Monday on the new season of Flo.
This is CBS.
Start of the 4th quarter. Dick Stockton along with Jim Kelly in a score, Jim.
Rafael Septien, a 28-yard field goal. The Cowboys go out by 3 against the Cardinals. The Chiefs have come back against the Colts. Horace Belton, a 3-yard run, 24-21 Kansas City. And the Chargers have scored again. Dan Fouts' 2nd touchdown toss to John Jefferson, 31-7.
2nd and 10 at the 11-yard line for the Bills. Here at Rich Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. Frank Lewis in motion. Bills trailing 20-14. Play action to the other side. And Ferguson is going deep for Butler, and the pass is way overthrown. Contact there, but had nothing to do with the pass play. And Ferguson is now upset with something else.
Well, he appears to be upset with the pass route run by Jerry Butler, but he gave it the pump fake to turn Butler upfield. They ran the down and out successfully on the right side cornerback, which they ran so very well in the first half. But it looked to me as if Ferguson wanted Butler to turn it upfield. That's what he did, and the ball was just overthrown.
Kenny Johnson defending on the play. Johnson started, was burned time and time again early in the contest, and then Lehman Bennett went with Rick Bias at cornerback, and then Johnson came back in the game.
We're having a conclave over on the Buffalo sideline now, trying to come up with a play that will work. Interesting, though, if Butler stays underneath Dick, they have the first down. He was open at about the 25-yard line before he turned it upfield.
Shotgun formation at 3rd and 10. Ball at the 11. Ferguson back at the goal line. Fires it. Butler, fine catch at the 29-yard line. Good catch by Butler with Kenny Johnson defending. You can't fault Johnson on that play because you don't want him to get by you.
No, you certainly can't. That was a fine catch by Jerry Butler. Take a look out of the shotgun formation. Any doubt as to who he's throwing to? Ferguson looking at Butler the whole way. Throws this one right on the rope, a little bit high. Butler with a good concentration. Kenny Johnson, the rookie, is right there, however. That time he was good one-on-one, man-on-man cover.
Though Lewis caught the touchdown early in the game, he's been going more to Lewis than to Butler this year. Butler, of course, the top rookie last year, and so it figured, as you know, they look at the films, that maybe they'll change things off, and Butler has been his main target today. 1st and 10 at the 29-yard line, an 18-yard pickup for the Bills. Trailing 20-14 to the Falcons. Again, play action pass. Ferguson with time up the middle of Curtis Brown, and it's overthrown. Pridemore and Roland Lawrence were the backs there. Incomplete.
He had Reuben Gant, number 88, his outstanding tight end. There is total yardage, and you see the big disparity on the scoreboard. Sometimes can be misleading. Gant was open about the 40-yard line. He turned it upfield, and Ferguson elected to go to the long man on the play. Incomplete. Overthrown. Joe, who had the hot hand, what was he, 10 of 13 in the first half, had a long afternoon of it.
2nd and 10. Ferguson quickly to the other side, has Butler. Butler is stopped, might be short of a first down. One thing about the Atlanta Falcons defense, unlike most teams that have substitution per down, as you look at the replay of that, they don't really change from their 3-4-4.
There you see the pattern that we've been talking about. They've been running that in different degrees in terms of length. 8 yards out, as you saw right there. Usually about 15 to 20 yards when it's most effective with Jerry Butler. Colts have just come back against the Chiefs. It's now 28-24 Baltimore. Curtis Dickey, a 51-yard run.
3rd and 1. Gant and Bramer. Twin tight ends. Roosevelt Leaks, number 48. In the game at fullback. And it's Cribbs carrying first down. He has a first down as he went underneath. He can slip and slide. Not big at 5'11", 190 pounds. Makes his own break. Smart, quick player. The hole's not there. He'll create something. And Joe Cribbs, who's got to be the top AFC rookie, gives the Bills a first down at the 40-yard line. But as we mentioned again, the Atlanta Falcons stay with the same defense all the time.
Well, they stay with that 3-4, and it's very effective. You got Al Richardson in there, Buddy Curry, Earl Williams, the veteran. 3 rookie linebackers. Jimmy Laughlin from Ohio State.
1st and 10 at the 41. Opening minutes of the final quarter here at Rich Stadium. Lewis wide right, Butler to the left. Ferguson looking for Lewis, who makes the catch at the 42, and another first down for the Buffalo Bills. And this is what teams have done against the Atlanta Falcons secondary. They have been vulnerable to those kind of patterns. That was Bob Glazebrook, the strong safety, who made the play. But as we pointed out at the top of the game, if the Falcons had any weakness in pass defense, and they're not rated up there at all in that category, it's those kind of patterns, the under patterns.
Well, again, this is the weakness, Dick, of the 3-4, because if the front 3 are not able to get to the passer, put any kind of pressure on when you've got a passer of Joe Ferguson's ability, certainly of Steve Bartkowski's ability also. If those two have all kinds of time to throw, they're going to find somebody open in the seam.
18-yard pickup. Now they're in the I formation, and the second back is Cribbs, hit immediately by Jim Laughlin, the linebacker from Ohio State, who's a smart, instinctive player, was used sparingly at college. Laughlin was, and was a fullback, a tight end, and a linebacker. He's one of those players with smarts, well schooled out of Ohio State, and he was Johnny on the spot there to just smother Cribbs. So at second, he lost a half a yard on the play. Let's call it 2nd and 11.
They dress about 108 Buckeyes down there.
So some of them have to be used sparingly, right, Jim? 42-yard line. To his left, Butler, first down to the 21, 22-yard line. Goes left side, goes right side. Butler one play, Lewis another. And he's got him going from side to side as we look at Butler again in the moves against Kenny Johnson.
And you can see how hard the rookies had it all afternoon. The bread and butter play, really, of the Buffalo Bills, no problem.
Actually, he made a good play there, Johnson did, because he came back on the turn-in and then prevented Butler from getting more yards. It was a good tackle on Johnson's part, a 20-yard gain.
How tough are the St. Louis Cardinals at home? They have just tied up the Dallas Cowboys 10-10, a 42-yard field goal by Neil O'Donohue, who ironically had the only 3 points the last time these two teams hooked up. A 3-point field goal 30 yards out to give Buffalo a 3-0 win against Atlanta.
Rick Bias has replaced Johnson at cornerback. It is 1st and 10 at the 22. Play action again. Ferguson way back to his 30-yard line, looking for an opening, and the pass is broken up, intended for Lewis. Roland Lawrence did a tremendous job on Frank Lewis and just muscled the ball away from him. Incomplete.
Roland Loris, an 8-year man from Tabor, 5'10", 179. But I'll tell you what, Frank Lewis, number 82, the intended receiver, did a pretty good job too, because that ball was out there and up for grabs. Take another look and you'll see how close it came to being an Atlanta interception. Ferguson had all kinds of time. Again, the freeze to Joe Cribbs holds the linebackers in. Now, right now, that's when your quarterback waits for the receiver to help and come back toward you. The ball batted up there. And watch there, Lewis bats it away. Otherwise, Roland Lawrence had a chance for the INT.
2nd and 10 at the 22. Butler has been his main target. Has caught 8 passes for 103 yards. See what he does here. Ferguson back again. Fires for Butler. Intercepted. Pass is intercepted. And it looks like Tom Pridemore, the free safety from West Virginia, picked that pass off, and a key one, because Buffalo threatening had at least a field goal opportunity, but now things have reversed themselves. Watch Pridemore on the pass intended for Butler.
This is the 2nd interception on the season for Richard Pridemore. It's thrown right on the money by Ferguson, but he never saw him. A great job by Tom Pridemore taking the ball right away. Just steps out of bounds about the half-yard line. So the Buffalo Bills, driving for what looked like might have been the go-ahead touchdown, still find themselves on the short end by 6. Atlanta leads 20-14.
Stuttgart, West Germany. A very special Mercedes-Benz is coming home to the Mercedes test track. This 1968 diesel from Oregon has been driven over 1 million miles. And after 12 years of careful maintenance, a couple of engine overhauls, and a little luck, this million-mile Mercedes-Benz diesel can still hold its own with these new Mercedes-Benz diesels. Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world.
Love TV, the soaps,
the mysteries.
And you'll love recording TV on the Zenith video recorder.
I love TV, the sports,
The comedy.
The Zenith video recorder. 14-day advanced programming, speed search, stop action, plus the picture quality you'd expect from Zenith. You'll love it.
I love TV.
The officials ruled Pridemore stepped out of bounds at the 2, and that's where the Falcons have it. 1st and 10 at the 2-yard line. Bills were trying to make something happen on defense right now. 20-14, and Bartkowski tries to jam it out of there. Maybe gets a yard, that's all. 2nd down.
That's his 2nd carry of the ball game. He went one time for a quarterback sneak and picked up an Atlanta 1st down. Not wishing to risk the turnover down there. But your bread and butter ball carriers, Kane and Andrews, have not exactly had fumbleitis so far this year.
And they're power backs. They can drive it out there. And, of course, if they don't get a 1st down, Buffalo is drooling with good field position. So it's 2nd down. And a long 8. Up the middle and driving back. William Andrews is the middle of that line. And there's the Bermuda Triangle. Haslett and Nelson. And I'm sure Smirlis had to have some role as that nose tackle in the middle. So now it's 3rd down, and Bartkowski has to make a decision here.
I really don't think with 3 interceptions on the afternoon that they're going to risk throwing the ball right here. And, of course, if they do get him in a punting situation, you got to figure the Bills will be coming. In 3rd down conversions, the Falcons are 4 out of 10 in this football game. And this is the key play for both the Atlanta offense and the Buffalo Bills defense.
A little over 10 minutes remaining in the ball game. Dick Stockton with Jim Kelly here at Rich Stadium in Orchard Park. 3rd and 7 at the 5. And it's Lynn Kane. Can't get out. Stopped at the 5-yard line. Maybe the 6. And now the Buffalo Bills can see superb field position. Charles Rhodes coming up from the corner, and Fred Smirlis, the nose tackle, make the stop. And John James will have to punt from the back line of this end zone.
A lot of pressure on the 9-year veteran from Florida right now, not only to hang on to that football, but to get the kick away. The Bills, with this kind of field position, Dick, you must assume would be coming and try to block that kick.
Joe Cribbs is deep as you look at James having a good afternoon, averaging over 40 yards a kick. Cribbs is at the 45-yard line of Atlanta. High kick. Fair catch called for by Cribbs. He's tripped up, penalty marker down, and Ray Strong of the Falcons is telling the official that he did not trip him up.
And he's absolutely right. He tripped over his own man.
Well, let's see what comes out of this conference. And now Atlanta signaling that they have possession. There's a penalty marker down. This is one explanation we will listen to closely. First Atlanta cheered that they had it, then the Buffalo Bills did. Chuck Heberling will be the one who's going to have to figure this one out. There's a huddle for you.
There's another conclave. Lehman Bennett has ripped the headset off. He is out at about the 30-yard line right now. Now the officials will have that meeting without the players surrounding him.
Tough to shake him, though.
Well, they're all bigger. From up here, it looked as if Joe Cribb signaled for the fair catch. Then he had to run up about 6 to 7 yards to get to the ball to make the catch. He signaled for the fair catch first, then he ran up 6, 7 yards. Here's Chuck Heberling, the referee.
There is no foul on the play. The receiver's man tripped his own teammate. It'll be the white ball, first down.
That's just as you called it, Jim. The penalty marker should not have been thrown. Cribbs tripped over his own man. Ray Strong had nothing to do with the play. And if they've been listening to us, they wouldn't need all this delay. Buffalo ball, 1st and 10.
You got some angry Falcons out there right now, about 24 of them. They've got the offensive unit out there, the defensive unit, and the Buffalo Bills are waiting to take over 1st and 10. But again, Joe Cribbs signaled for the fair catch, had to run up about 6 or 7 yards, tripped over his own man. There wasn't a Falcon man in the vicinity, not of Joe Cribbs. Of course, the man who's going to feel most of his heat will be Joe Ferguson, because he'll have the ball and the Atlanta defense will be coming after him.
Another conference, and Phil Villapiano is replaced by Roberts, who wants to listen in his own right. Reggie McKenzie now in the huddle. You got the white shirts on one side and the red shirts on the other, and there are people dragging them away from the officials' meeting. And I wonder if Heberling is going to have some more information for us. We hope so. Confusion on the field.
If he reverses his decision, he'll need an escort out.
All right.
There is no.
Looks like the Falcons will get the break here. Let's hear.
He's not going to put the microphone on until he's sure there are no angry Buffalo Bills around, which could be a while.
There is no foul on the play. The two white men tripped each other. The ball was touched by the white and recovered by the red. No! It's a red ball.
You can hear Reggie McKenzie say, "Oh, no," into the microphone of Chuck Heberling. So it is a fumble. There is no foul. And the ball hit off of a Buffalo Bill player, recovered by the Falcons, who maintained possession. Took a long time to figure out, but that is what they decide. And the crowd here, boos cascading down on the field. The Falcons have it 1st and 10 on their own 38, leading 20-14 with 9:02 remaining in the 4th quarter. Bartkowski says he can't hear.
And Heberling says, "Look, Steve, you've got to try to get a playoff, because this could go on from now until Christmas." Ray Wersching for San Francisco, a 39-yard field goal. The 49ers have just gone out in front of the Detroit Lions 13-10, 7:54 of quarter number 4.
Well, now the crowd is not letting up. And Bartkowski, they're not going to allow Bartkowski to get this play underway. He's signaling a cutoff sign. Not sure what he means, frankly. Falcons are just standing there at the line of scrimmage.
Well, they know they don't have to get a playoff until they can hear the signals, and if it goes on too long, the home team can be penalized for delay of game.
Chuck Knox has signaled from the sideline to the fans, and now the players on the bench are turned around and are signaling, "Please quiet down." Buffalo players urging the crowd to quiet down. There you see they know the game can't go on. if they continue. And usually after one play, everything is back to normal again anyway.
Well, actually, they're fortunate that this is not a dome stadium in terms of decibels.
1st and 10 at the 38. Bartkowski can't hear a thing.
The natives are restless. Of course, the fortune of this game just turned dramatically because instead of 1st and 10 for the Buffalo Bills in relatively good field position in Atlanta territory, the Falcons got the ball back on a break and a very controversial call after they had indicated the Buffalo Bills had it 1st and 10.
Well, the fumble perhaps wasn't the controversial part of it. It was that
was there a penalty or was there not? They threw a flag and indicated there might have been interference on the kick. But as we pointed out, Joe Cribbs tripped over his own man, and in so tripping, the referees have ruled that Joe Cribbs or one of the Buffalo Bills touched the ball.
So it's been a while since we've had a play run off. 9:02 remain in the 4th quarter. The Falcons have a lead. They were trailing 14-0 at one point. They struck with less than a minute to go in the 1st half. Rossetti field goal, an interception, and Bartkowski threw to Miller for a score, and a touchdown and a field goal here in the 3rd quarter. Now the 4th period underway, and it's still 20-14. And the give. Andrews to the 39-yard line. So it's 2nd down. Picks up 4 or 5 on the play. Fred Smerlas and Charles Romes make the stop on William Andrews, who's had a tremendous 2nd half.
Exactly right, and the play should not have picked up 4 or 5, 6 yards. Sherman White, 83, the 9-year veteran, in the backfield, had a shot at him, and he just eluded him and picked up all of that on his own. Ricky Bell, a 1-yard touchdown run. Tampa Bay blowing out the Giants now 30-6. That's in the 4th quarter.
2nd and 6 at the 43. Wallace Francis split to the left. Jenkins wide right. Play action for Bartkowski. Can't find the receiver. Off the hands of Andrews. Incomplete. Shane Nelson was defending on the play, but Andrews was there and should have made the catch. It'll be 3rd and 6.
Bartkowski wanted Lynn Kane that time, looping out of the backfield. Good one-on-one coverage by the linebackers for the Buffalo Bills. Jim Haslett, whose main responsibility on that play was picking up Kane looping out. So now perhaps the key 3rd down play, if you will, of the ball game, certainly for the Buffalo Bills defense, because after the referee reversed his decision and it went against the Buffalo Bills, and that's the way certainly that they would view it, a break for the Falcons, a key 3rd down situation for Steve Bartkowski.
Junior Miller, the tight end, now goes as a wide receiver to the left. Rufus Bess is in as a nickel back. Kadish in, 4 down lineman. 3rd down pass is caught by Wallace Francis and out of bounds. And a 1st down at the 41-yard line. Charles Romes made the stop, and Wallace Francis, who's 2nd on the team in receiving coming into this game, used to play with the Buffalo Bills behind Ahmad Rashad and J.D. Hill, comes back to haunt his former club.
Simple down and out to play the Bills have run so successfully all afternoon right there. And Wallace Francis, good job, followed the ball in with the seams the whole way. Big 1st down for the Falcons. Credit Bartkowski, he stayed in the pocket in the face of a big Buffalo Bill rush.
16-yard gain to Wallace Francis, who set all kinds of club records last year with 74 catches at the 41, 1st and 10. 8 minutes, 10 seconds remaining, 4th quarter. Here's William Andrews and runs solidly into Shane Nelson and Isaiah Robertson. There you look at 1st downs. Buffalo had a big edge early, and now Atlanta has narrowed that gap.
Well, it was 12-8 in favor of 1st downs, Bills to Falcons after the 1st half. You take a look at the clock now, starting to work in the favor of the Atlanta Falcons, 7:45 and counting. The Buffalo Bills defense has to assert themselves for some kind of a turnover here, Dick. They certainly can't give up another 15 yards to allow Mazzetti to get into field goal range, because a field goal now, it's a 6-point deficit, would make it 9.
That's the voice of Jim Kelly working our game here today. Hear him on CBS Radio. Lynn Kane breaks a tackle to the 39-yard line. It'll be 3rd and long yardage as Ben Williams makes the tackle. 5th year from Ole Miss, a 3rd-round draft choice back in 1976.
Of course, they pick up another 5 or 6 yards here. They approach 1st down yardage, but also they get a little bit more into range for Tim Mazzetti, who already has a boomer of 50 yards.
Plus a 28-yard field goal, so he's feeling awfully good. It'll be 3rd and 7. Wallace Francis, Alfred Jackson, Alfred Jenkins are the 3 wide receivers. 6 defensive backs and 4 down linemen for the Bills, as they have substitutions down by down, and We may have a penalty here, and we do. Delay of the game against the Atlanta Falcons. So instead of 3rd and 7, it'll be 3rd and 12, and that's a totally different story.
It's also a different story as far as Tim Mazzetti is concerned in the field goal department.
We don't really have to listen. We know it's delay of the game, but let's hear how Chuck says it.
Game. Offense number 10. 3rd down.
Terry Bradshaw is back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A 3-yard touchdown pass to Rocky Blyer. Pittsburgh, who trailed at the half 14-9, has now jumped out on top by a score of 22-14.
And they've shut out Green Bay in that second half. 3rd and 12 at the 43. They want at least to get into Mazzetti territory. Bartkowski finds Wallace Francis. Wallace Francis has a 1st down. I think he just made it by less than a yard. Lucius Sanford was trying to bring him back, but I think the effort by Francis was good enough for a 1st down, and I'm sure we'll have a measurement. And he was wide open on that pass and run, Jim.
No question about it. Look at the time that Bartkowski has right here. Even though the Bills are sending 4, they went to 4 down linemen. Right on the money. Wallace Francis wide open once again. So Francis now back-to-back receptions for key 1st downs for the Atlanta Falcons.
Looks like he has the 1st down, but let's see where they do it. It is an Atlanta 1st down. Big play on 3rd and 12. They connect on a 12-yard play with Francis all alone. So the Falcons maintain possession. 1st and 10 at the Buffalo 31-yard line, leading 20-14, and using the clock oh so well with 6 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter.
Is that not a face mask?
Well, that's a face mask he's wearing, and I see a hand on that from another jersey, so maybe that's the case. 1st and 10, 31. The pitch goes out to Lynn Kane. Can't cut inside, and Kane is thrown for a loss of about a yard. Jim Haslett, number 55, and Romes converged on that play.
57, you see there, Lucius Sanford is the man whose jersey Dick was alluding to, who may or may not have had the face mask of Wallace Francis in his grasp.
2nd and 11. The Bills next week will go on the road. They face the New York Jets. And the week after that, they face the Cincinnati Bengals, while the Atlanta Falcons will be in St. Louis next week before coming back with 3 home games the rest of November. 2nd and 11 at the 32. Bartkowski back to throw. And his pass out to the flat to Jackson. Alfred Jackson complete. Sanford defending on the play. Significant about the Buffalo Bills, Jim, as we'll take a look at Jackson again. They have 2 more home games after this game against tough opponents, Pittsburgh and Los Angeles.
So it's very important to make hay while you can. They were hoping for a win against the Atlanta Falcons here because they're going to close out the season on the road. Look how open number 85 Alfred Jackson is. The 3-year veteran from Texas gets all of it there, and still shy of 1st down yardage. Brings up again another key 3rd down play for the Buffalo Bills defense. They're certainly within Mazzetti's field goal range, but now they're approaching that goal line.
And that's a tough pattern to stop. 3rd and 5 at the 26. Bartkowski passes off the fingertips of Lynn Kane, incomplete. Kadish put a pretty good rush in. Lucius Sanford covering downfield. It'll be 4th down, and as you point out, Tim Mazzetti, who's hit on a 50-yarder, will be coming in now to attempt a field goal, we presume. He is 2 for 2 this afternoon.
Bartkowski never saw that incompleted pass, as Dick called it. Mike Kadish from Notre Dame, the 8-year veteran, got in there and almost got to Bartkowski before he was able to release the football. Mazzetti warming up. As we noted, he came in here listed as a question mark because of his groin injury, but certainly no problem so far.
Well, at a 44-yard attempt with James Holding. Mazzetti has hit on 2 field goals, and this one he drills through, and Mazzetti is 3 for 3, and what an afternoon he's having. And the Atlanta Falcons now move in front 23-14, have opened up a 9-point lead, so Buffalo needs 2 scores to take the lead, and will return to Rich Stadium in a moment.
Need your help. Is it me or my 1981 Toyota Corolla? Watch. See what I mean? I know Corolla looks like a million, got plenty of style, not to mention a peppy 1.8-liter engine. But I ask you, is it me or my Toyota Corolla?
Give me a ride to the library?
tell me, was it me or my Toyota Corolla?
Oh, what a feeling. Your Corolla. Toyota.
Homeward bound, coast of New England.
You got 6'2" feet. 6'2" feet.
The Navy. See your recruiter or call toll-free. It's not just a job, it's an adventure.
See the cheerleaders go from the sidelines to the front lines in the Battle of the NFL Cheerleaders. Next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
Okay, good. Tim Mazzetti will kick off. Terry Miller and Artie Owens are deep for the Buffalo Bills. It's 5 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Atlanta has controlled the ball and the clock for a long time with the break on the fumble. Owens at the 4-yard line on a reverse to Miller. Terry Miller looking for room, but the Atlanta Falcons too smart for this one. Back to the 10-yard line. Well, Tim Mazzetti has had a brilliant afternoon with 3 field goals. The reaction to the 44-yard one he just clicked on.
No sign of a groin injury there. The good follow through, the good concentration again to go along with his 50-yard effort. And there is Tim, a former bartender in Philadelphia. And that just put him up by 9, 23-14. You talk about staying at home and what a good job the Atlanta defense has been doing on this trick plays of Buffalo right there on the reverse on the kickoff. 3 of them stayed there until Buffalo starts 1st and 10 from the shadow of their own goalpost.
1st and 10 at the 11-yard line. Curtis Brown 47 and Joe Cribbs 20 of the setbacks. But Ferguson has to go up on top, and his pass to Lewis is almost intercepted. It is. The Falcons have it. Jim Laughlin on a deflection has intercepted for the Atlanta Falcons at the 17-yard line. And now the Falcons have a chance to break it open, and we have a fight. Ferguson and Reggie McKenzie have one Falcon down there. And it's very risky for a quarterback to get involved. Number 65 is Don Smith, the second-year defensive lineman from Miami. He and Reggie McKenzie were going at it, and Ferguson came over in a 2-and-1. But you can see the Buffalo Bills season going down the drain if Ferguson were to hurt his hand on a punch. But let's see the interception ultimately made by Jim Laughlin, the linebacker.
All right, Ferguson rolls out to the right, throws the ball well. It's deflected. He didn't see the other linebacker come in right there and deflect it. Bounces off the helmet into the waiting arms of number 51, Jimmy Laughlin. And then the trouble started downfield. It was Don Smith, 6'5", 248, who had a couple of words to say from behind to Ferguson. Don Smith actually came up, slapped Ferguson on the back of the helmet from behind and razzed him about the interception. Ferguson turned around and said something to him. Reggie McKenzie came over and grabbed Don Smith, and that's when the flag started to fly. Now we have another conclave.
I guess it's been a frustrating afternoon for Joe Ferguson because he has really had his problems with upstairs, with officials, perhaps with opposing players. Al Richardson was the linebacker who made the deflection on the pass intended for Frank Lewis before Jim Laughlin. And we're going to take another look. And what we pointed out at the beginning of the game, the linebackers playing a key role in the second half for the Falcons.
All right, the ball intended for Lewis right here. A little bit off the mark, deflected, hits the helmet, okay, and then Jimmy Laughlin comes up with a big interception.
Here comes Heberly.
Who will not win the Man of the Year award in Buffalo.
They've had more huddles today than the Buffalo offense.
We have a double foul after a change of possession. The ball belongs to the intercepting team. The foul against the passing team, the original offense, was unnecessary roughness on number 47. The foul in the corner was unnecessary roughness against 67 on the white and 85 in the red. It's a red ball.
Whatever it was, and it was roughness, and we talked about Reggie McKenzie in there and Ferguson's number and Curtis Brown's number also. But whatever it was, did not affect the interception. But there were roughness calls on both sides, and it will not affect where the ball is or the possession. So it's going to be 1st and 10 for the Falcons beyond the 15-yard line. 4:52 remaining in the game. Wallace Francis wide to the right, Alfred Jenkins to the left, and a chance for the Falcons to wrap it up. Lynn Kane with Andrews blocking. Still on his feet. Then they try to strip him of the ball unsuccessfully. And inside the 10, a good pickup by Lynn Kane. Fred Smerlis, the nose tackle, made the play, and they're really trying for the ball here.
Watch the blocking over on the right side right here for the Atlanta Falcons, and then watch the acceleration, the quick hit there of Lynn Kane, who got the last 5, 6, maybe 7 yards all on his own, busting over the right side. Warren Bryant, 66. Dick's called his number for you, along with R.C. Thielman, number 68. In there as you look at the score with 4:19 left to go, and the Lions have just come back against the 49ers, 17-13 Detroit.
We'll get that detail in a moment. 2nd and 1 at the 6-yard line. 6 defensive linemen for the Bills. At 2nd and 1, Lynn Kane with Andrews blocking. Kane will have the first down inside the 5.
And what a block William Andrews threw right there on the cornerback for Buffalo Bills, number 29, Mario Clark, the 5-year man from Oregon. Take a look here. Of course, Andrews, the blocking back at Auburn, runner extraordinaire since joining the Falcons. There he is right there, just blasts him away. Kane follows the blocking niftily and dives in close to the 3-yard marker. That's Gary Danielson with the 8-yard touchdown run, 17-14. It's a 17-13. Lions on top over the 49ers.
So it's 1st and goal at the 3. Shane Nelson ultimately made the tackle. Falcons with 3 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the game can ice this with a touchdown. Andrews looking for room, barrels his way to about the 1. It'll be 2nd and goal. An incredible turn of events at Rich Stadium. The game started out, and for a while, actually with a couple of minutes remaining in the half, looked like a Buffalo rout. They were leading 14-0 and were driving for more. And a very key play that we have to go back to, Jim, as you alluded to earlier. The 4th down, less than a yard. They decided to go for the field goal instead of the touchdown.
No question about it. The field goal is blocked. Atlanta gets the ball back, goes right down the field, gets a field goal of their own, puts 3 points on. Then a touchdown pass from Bartkowski to Junior Miller just before the half, and Atlanta was right back into it.
2nd and goal at the 1. And the give to Kane. He's in for the touchdown. Lynn Kane, his 2nd score. And the Falcons, a tremendous team on the road this year and against tough opposition. It's amazing. Again, New England, L.A., Detroit when they were unbeaten, San Francisco when they were unbeaten, Buffalo on the road. Tremendous effort for the Falcons, and they have to be a strong divisional threat as Lynn Kane scores his 2nd touchdown of the game.
Also against the New Orleans Saints, it was 14-13 against New Orleans in the Superdome. Not an easy place to play. And Atlanta comes back 28 unanswered points and blows out New Orleans. They've done almost the same thing to Buffalo here this afternoon, because Buffalo has not scored in the 2nd half.
Holding is James. Mazzetti trying the point after. He is certainly one of the heroes for the Atlanta Falcons today, with 3 field goals and perfect conversions for Tim Mazzetti for the Atlanta Falcons, who realize that they still have 4 more home games and leading comfortably here 30-14. We'll be back.
Newspapers all across America are endorsing Ronald Reagan for president. One reason is the sad reality of Mr. Carter's record. A more important reason is the promise of Ronald Reagan's leadership. As the Columbus Dispatch said, Ronald Reagan is by far the best choice to do the job that needs to be done today. His presidency would return the luster to the American dream. The time is now for Reagan.
I looked at Datsun 280ZX and Porsche 924 because I wanted a refined sports car. Then I looked at and drove this new Mazda RX-7, and that's all it took.
Just one look. That's all it took. Yeah, just one look. That's all it took.
The Mazda RX-7 keeps getting better. Even the mileage is 24% better than last year. And the more I looked, the more I liked the looks of its price.
The more you look, the more you like.
Live, undefeated champion Hilmer Kenty blasts away with Villamar Fernandez for the WBA Lightweight Championship. Next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
So the Buffalo Bills moving into a tie with the Patriots last week. As you look at Terry Miller, number 40, and Artie Owens, 85. Mazzetti kicking off, coming back and losing this next week. The kick is short. And it's run back by a linebacker to the 38-yard line, Chris Keating, number 52. And so 30-14 the score with 2 minutes and 31 seconds to go. The Bills can't sustain, as you look at the drive, this next week against the Atlanta Falcons. And that might hurt Buffalo as we consider the schedule that they've got.
Well, you must be aware of the fact the LA Rams are certainly taking prime interest in this game because they came in tied with the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC West, and the Rams will be hosting the still winless New Orleans Saints in just a couple of minutes. Larry Heater, a 1-yard run for the Giants. They still trail Tampa Bay 30-13, and Baltimore has just gotten a 21-yard field goal from Mikamar. It is 31-24. Baltimore now against the Kansas City Chiefs.
1st and 10 at the 37. Ferguson's last 2 passes have been intercepted. This one is complete to Frank Lewis out of bounds at the 39-yard line.
Well, again, the bread and butter player that Buffalo has been running most of the afternoon quite successfully against the Falcons, but you've really got to admire the job the Atlanta Falcons have done here this afternoon. Lehman Bennett saying before the game, as you look at it one more time, that he is very concerned about his team following an emotional win. They upset Los Angeles 13-10 to pull into that tie last week, and off of a big win, Atlanta in the past, their history has not been that well. They have not played that well, and indeed they fell behind here quickly 14-0, but since then it's been all Falcons.
That's been the story. 1st and 10 at the 39. Ferguson back to throw. They give him all the short stuff in the world. Joe Cribbs on the receiving end. You can see him perform his magic, which he hasn't done that much this afternoon, as he gets inside the 30-yard line. Good for a 1st down as we wind down, clock running close to the 2-minute warning. The Atlanta Falcons, who play Buffalo or St. Louis on the road next week and come home against New Orleans, Chicago, at Washington. They get this play off just before the 2-minute mark, and the pass out of bounds intended for Frank Lewis, and Rollin Lawrence covering on the play. But the Falcons look to the last game of the year on the road in Los Angeles. Don't forget the Rams are getting underway against the Saints, and the Patriots against the Jets in games that affect these teams here. We'll be back.
STP, a big name in racing for nearly 20 years. STP oil treatment on the track in some of the world's most expensive engines. Around the track, around the world, every day, tens of thousands of people get STP oil treatment. Get it for your car. Satisfaction guaranteed. Around the track, around the world, STP oil treatment is #1.
Here's another Radio Shack telephone sensation. And lucky you, it's on sale for only $39.88. Super small size. And the push-button dial has a memory button that automatically redials busy numbers. Of course, it has an extra long 16-foot cord. And watch this. Its hang-up is a put-down. You save even more when you own your own phone. And it's built and sold only by Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store.
That's now a final score. The Bucs beat the Giants, who fall to 1-8, and Green Bay has just scored on Pittsburgh. 39 seconds to go. Steelers lead at 22-20 against the Pack.
2nd and 10 at the 29. Ferguson back. His pass intended for Roland Hooks, incomplete. Falcons are giving all the yardage. Glazebrook defending on the play. 1:51 remaining on pass intended for Hooks.
We mentioned at the top of the telecast that this is the 3rd meeting between these two teams, and it looks like Atlanta will have their first win ever against the Buffalo Bills. The first time they met, it was 17-6 in favor of Buffalo. That was back on December the 2nd of '73. And the second time, 3-0. Neil O'Donoghue, a 30-yard field goal. So Atlanta will have their first win ever against the Buffalo Bills.
3rd and 10 at the 29 now for Joe Ferguson. And his pass in the air, it's caught, penalty marker down. Penalty markers down at the 10. Jerry Butler, I believe that's his 9th reception of the game. Having his best afternoon of the.
We'll take another look at it on slow motion.
Kenny Johnson.
Up over his back before the catch. Here comes the flag right there, and there was another one thrown from the back judge.
1st and goal at the 9, and as you said, we have the final score with the Steelers eking one out over the Packers. Duke Ferguson, 84, is in. Butler now moving wide. And the pass is drilled to Butler. Can't hold on. Rollin Lawrence. That pass should go as an incompletion all the way.
pass was drilled to Butler, and then Butler was drilled. That's number 65 for Atlanta, Don Smith. It was he and Ferguson who mixed it up.
Joe Devlin in there, too.
And there's Reggie McKenzie.
This is frustration on the part of the Buffalo Bills is all it is. This is a team that perhaps thought they could get by this week with the tough schedule ahead.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 65 in the red, number 70 in the white.
Second time Don Smith has been involved in a flurry out there, offsetting penalties. It'll be second and goal at the 9-yard line. Clock shows 1:41 remaining. Falcons are in a great position in their race against the Rams because they are undefeated in their division. And the Rams, of course, have that one loss. CBS News, a special report tonight. CBS News special report anchored by Dan Rather. The special report will focus on today's developments in which Iran agreed to the release of the hostages if Khomeini's 4 conditions are met. Second and goal. Ferguson's pass, sideline. Incomplete. He was out of bounds. Hooks the intended receiver again, and Glazebrook watching him there.
Well, Chuck Knox said coming in that this Atlanta Falcon team was the most aggressive team that his young Buffalo Bills have ventured up against so far in 1980, and they fell behind quickly. Atlanta did, 14-0. They didn't lose their poise. And I think that's quite a credit to Lehman Bennett and the coaching staff in Atlanta. It was 14-0. We go right back to it could have been 17-0 or 21 had Knox not elected to go for what ended up to be a blocked field goal that he got in the first down.
Bennett said he didn't know how his team was going to play today, and he was being truthful about that. They could rise to the occasion. They could have problems. He was honest there, and they fell behind. Here's a good rush on Ferguson, who dives forward inside the 10. It'll be 4th down.
You know who was putting the heat on Ferguson, don't you? Number 65, Don Smith.
And he started the year as the nose tackle on this Falcon team.
Smith, a second-year man from Miami, 6'5" and 248 as you take a look at it. Ferguson scrambles out, but it's going to be too little too late. 1:25 to go, and the Falcons up by 16.
For 1981, the Toyota Celica Supra gets recharged. Charged with more performance, a new 2.8 fuel-injected engine, an optional performance package, sport suspension, spoilers front and rear. The new 2.8-liter Toyota Celica Supra, recharged for 81.
A Celica never performed like this before. Supra!
You take 1,000 hearts up here with you, make them skip a beat, then take them back down to Miller time. Time for the best tasting beer you can find. America's quality beer.
When it's time to relax,
Miller High Life.
one beer stands clear. If you've got time, we've got the beer.
Well, the Bills used one of their 3 remaining timeouts to talk things over. It's 4th down and 7, 30-14. They need 3 scores to win this game with 1:25 to go. Frustrating second half and a little of the end of the first half for the Buffalo Bills this afternoon. 4th down, Ferguson. Pass almost intercepted by Pridemore. Intended for Reuben Gant. So the Atlanta Falcons will take over on downs. And they have played an outstanding defensive game in the second half. And you see Pridemore almost with the interception, Jim.
Here it is again, Ferguson. Not much of a rush. They're in the 3-4, the nickel defense. Almost picked off there by number 51 for Atlanta, Jimmy Laughlin, who's had quite an afternoon. And then another chance for Pridemore. Has played a fine game for the Falcons here. Cincinnati's Jack Thompson, a touchdown pass to Deacon Turner of 15 yards. But the Chargers still have a commanding 17-point lead, 31-14 against the Bengals. 7:11 to go in quarter number 4 there. And the Lions have beaten the 49ers by 4. Gary Danielson's 8-yard touchdown run with 3:42 to go in the game made it a 17-13 score, and that's the way that one wound up. Now the Cardinals have just come back against the Cowboys to lead at 17-10, 5:20 in the third quarter.
All right, there's a big game right there. Lynn Kane carrying. Gets a couple off tackle. What's happened in that ball game is the Cardinals and the Dallas Cowboys. Seems that St. Louis always gives them trouble. Executive producer of the NFL on CBS is Chuck Milton. The producer of our game this afternoon, Marvin Muse. And the game has been directed by John McDonough Jr. And we'd like to thank our technical staff, for bringing you the pictures of this game that was touted going in, and a dramatic turn of events here in Buffalo. Over 60,000 on hand here at Rich Stadium, but most of the fans, if not 7/8, have departed here with long faces as the Buffalo Bills trailing the Atlanta Falcons 30-14 with 1:14 remaining.
Big game here for both teams because obviously they each came in tied in their respective divisions. The Rams and the Falcons were deadlocked in the NFC West, and the Bills and the Patriots were all knotted up in the AFC East. Lehman Bennett said before the game, gee, who would have imagined when you start the season way back there that first weekend in September that by the time you kick it off here in November in Buffalo that the Falcons and the Bills would be tied for the lead in their respective division.
One of the many surprises of this season is Lehman Bennett with the headset off. Just a matter of time now with 1:14 to go. The Bills with one timeout remaining. They just called another one there. Joe Ferguson may not get back in this game. He completed 20 of 37 passes today for 270 yards, 1 touchdown with 3 big interceptions. Bartkowski is 13 for 24 for 193 yards. He's also thrown away 3, but not in the second half as Kane goes up the middle, just using up the time. Smirlis makes this tackle. Clock stops with 1:08 remaining, and the Bills have called their last timeout, and there are the numbers on that Green Bay-Pittsburgh game as the Steelers trying to get themselves back up again.
Boy, they had lost 3 in a row. That hadn't happened since 1976, and they had all they could handle and more from the Packers at Three Rivers Stadium. Chuck Knox, I'm sure, had some inspirational words there. That score certainly of interest to the Houston Oilers, who are on the road. They're in Denver taking on the Broncos this afternoon. And of course the Cleveland Browns must be watching that score with interest because Cleveland will play host to the Chicago Bears tomorrow night, and that game will be on CBS Radio. You can hear Dick Stockton with the pregame show, 10 minutes to 9 Eastern time.
And Jack Buck and Hank Stram and Brent Musburger, all part of the broadcast team. Los Angeles with an early score.
Frank Corral, a 27-yard field goal. The Rams jump out in front over the winless New Orleans Saints 3-0.
And there you see Detroit beating San Francisco 17-13. So the Lions are now 6-3 on the year, and Tampa Bay, by virtue of their victory over the Giants, now 4-4-1. They move into undisputed possession of second place. Green Bay is 3-5-1 with the Bears with a chance to go 4-5 with a win over Cleveland tomorrow. 1:07 to go. Andrews carrying, bulls his way forward, and he has a first down and a penalty marker there. And there have been some flare-ups throughout the second half. Bill Simpson and Charles Rome combined to make the stop. Atlanta will be 6-3, and the Rams, of course, needing a win over New Orleans to stay tied with the Falcons. We have a holding call against Atlanta. New England, of course, looking with very much interest at the result here because the Patriots breathing easy with a game against the Jets getting underway in Foxborough.
Walt Michaels wouldn't like it if you said that.
Well, 2-6. He's looking up at a few clubs, isn't he?
He was 1-6 before he beat the Dolphins last Monday night.
Holding offense number 39. Third down.
James Mayberry was holding on the play. 1:01 remaining on the clock. Bills have no more timeouts remaining, and now all the Falcons have to do is just run the ball, and that's it. 3rd and 11. 30-14 the score. Lynn Kane with 2 one-yard touchdown runs. Tim Mazzetti with 3 field goals, including a 50-yarder. And Bartkowski with a touchdown pass to Junior Miller. 16 yards with 22 seconds remaining in the half to bring the Falcons back to 14-10 and really almost set the tone for the rest of the game.
Well, the Patriots have taken advantage of scoreboard watching, seeing that Buffalo is down by a bunch. Steve Grogan, 33-yard touchdown pass to Russ Francis, and the Patriots have jumped out in front over the Jets very quickly, 7-0.
William Andrews, look at that run. He's made a couple of them today on his own efforts and impetus. Might have a first down, and he does. William Andrews has had a tremendous second half. We'll figure out what Andrews has done in the second half of this game, as he has been the key offensive performer for the Falcons. Clock running, less than 40 seconds remaining.
So the Falcons will dip down and hope that New Orleans can come up with some kind of a miracle against the Rams. LA has already taken a 3-0 lead. Atlanta's record is 6-3, as Dick has pointed out, in that NFC West. And for right now, a slight edge as Bartkowski simply falls down on it. Meanwhile, Buffalo drops down to 6-3, and they'll be watching and hoping they can get some help from the New York Jets.
Well, that'll be our last play. Andrews gained 87 yards in 20 carries, most of those yards in the second half. He caught 2 passes for 30, and Bartkowski, winning quarterback. The Atlanta Falcons have surprised the Buffalo Bills 30-14. Surprised because the game was in Buffalo. Atlanta on the road, but they've done it again. Thanks to Jim Kelly. Hope you enjoyed the game on CBS. So this is Dick Stockton saying so long from Rich Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. 30-14 the final. The NFL on CBS is a presentation of CBS Sports.
Few would argue that getting the mentally retarded out of institutions is the humane thing to do. But suppose they move